for coming to the YouTube session. If you would like to tweet or use social media to comment about this event, please use the GDD11 hashtag. Here's the agenda for today. So we'll talk about YouTube live streaming. In case you are not sure if you're in the right session, the YouTube logo should make it a little easier to recognize the topic. But this is pretty new functionality for us. So in fact, I just spoke publicly about this for the first time last week in Brazil. So this is the first time we spoke about this functionality at a Google event, and this is the second time I'm giving this talk. So this is all very new, not super polished, still changing. The demos are new. I worked on some of them on the plane. So just to set the expectations correctly, this is kind of stuff in progress. But I thought that rather than talking about something that has been around for a while, I will talk to you about something that is brand new. Here's the agenda. So we'll talk about the overview of the platform. So for those of you that are not too familiar with live streaming, just a kind of reference architecture of what are all the major building blocks and where we play. We'll give you a demo, hopefully, of how it works right now on YouTube.com. We will talk through some sample code that we wrote to help you understand what the API is like and what you can do with it. We will show a couple of examples that our partners have developed. So these are third-party application developers that use the API and develop some demos around it. We will chat about what's coming up on YouTube Live. So we've been launching various events on live in many countries. So I'll give you a couple of interesting examples, and then we'll have some time for Q&A. But first, I kind of like to ask my audience how much they know about YouTube. So I'm going to start with the quiz. And the questions are going to be very easy. Let's see how you guys are going to do. Since we are at the university, I felt like this is appropriate. So first question is, how many YouTube views do we get per day? How many video views? Do you guys have any guesses? 2 million, 3 million, 10 billion, 1 billion? Any other guesses? 15 billion? Wow, you guys jumped right into billions. So the answer is more than 3 billion. That's data from earlier this year. So that was pretty close. So next question is, out of the 3 billion, how many views do we get on mobile devices? How many millions? 1 billion on mobile? 2 billion on mobile, so mainly mobile? 100 million? Half billion? So last year it was 200 million, more than 200 million. This number actually has been growing, so I think the actual number should be much larger now. But it is growing very fast. So people share video, say on social media, and then when you get a video link from your friend, you just want to see it right away, and that has been really driving the growth of mobile video. Next question is, how much video is uploaded to YouTube? And each and every minute, how many hours of video do we get? 24, okay, that's a good guess. Any other guesses? 86? All right. The answer lies somewhere in between. 50? Actually, you're very close. So it's more than 48 hours. Yeah. And that number has also been growing. So finally, what's the percentage of views that we get from outside of the United States? Are we primarily an American operation, or is it an international play? 40%, okay. A good starting point. Do I hear 50? 70? Yeah, actually, it's about 70%. So a great majority of views is actually coming from outside of the US. All right, platform overview. So what's YouTube Live all about? We have been working on that since last year. But just to give you an example, some of you might have heard about this festival that happened in the US in the 60s called Woodstock. And if you guys are Jimi Hendrix fans, like I am, you probably have heard about this. So there were about 400,000 people that went to Woodstock, and it really defined a generation. I think we still live with the consequences of that event. So recently we worked with another festival in the US, Bonnaroo, and there were about over 4 million people that were able to see the concerts online. So as you see, the scale at which live streaming can operate is truly amazing. And a couple of other events that we have done recently, some of you might have heard about cricket, and if you're Indian, you're a big cricket fan for sure. So we worked with Indian Premier League to live stream their cricket events, and it was a very highly successful event. 72 million page views, 72 matches. For those of you that follow the royal family, there was a big event recently, the royal wedding, and it's interesting stats. On April 29th, we got 72 million live streams from over 180 countries. So virtually every country on the planet was represented. People were tuning in and watching the royal wedding, which is truly amazing when you think about the reach. And then Coachella is a cool music festival that I like. And similarly to the previous example, 4 million live streams, 61 acts of music concerts, performances. And one cool thing that we implemented for this event is the ability to actually select your own camera. So rather than somebody picking a view for you, you can actually pick which camera you want to watch, and that's your experience. And I'll give you an example later of how that has been done for a sailing event that we have ran with a partner. Okay, so how does live streaming work? So there's a couple of pieces involved. Some of them are done by YouTube, some of them are done through partners. Starting with the event production, so that's typically the content partner will take care of that. Capture using some sort of audio-video equipment, and encoding. And encoding is a tricky, computationally intensive process. So typically, for high-quality streams, you would use hardware device to do encoding. The problem that it's trying to solve, it's basically compressing the audio and video stream to save on bandwidth while preserving good quality. Once the stream is encoded, it's delivered through the CDN to the YouTube player, and then the user can actually enjoy it. So those are the pieces. The ones that are interesting to us and where we have been working with partners or ourselves is encoding the delivery part and the player. On the encoding front, as I mentioned, it's a computationally expensive process. So when you capture the raw stream, you actually need to compress it to send it on to YouTube servers, and so that we can actually deliver that to the connected clients. There are software encoders. For example, Flash Media Live Encoder is something you can download for free and play around with it. But for the larger events, typically hardware encoders are used. If you look at the protocol stack, like what does the packet look like when you actually send it from a captured frame that is going through encoder to YouTube? Here are all the pieces. So we use RTMP, real-time messaging protocol, as a transport, so that kind of wraps the stream. We use FLV container. HLS is coming, so for those of you that have been following the standards, HLS is very good for mobile, and that's something we've been working on. So within the container, we have audio and video, and audio is compressed using H.264. There are many codecs, depending on how much bandwidth you want to allocate and what type of quality you want. You can basically decide that. 30 frames per second, and the bandwidth varies from 400K to 2 megabits per second, or even more if you want to do 1080p. So you can pretty much stream, high quality video and multi-channel audio. We start with one channel. AAC codec is used to compress the audio stream. So this is kind of what it looks like if you are more of a visual person like myself. So RTMP is the transport protocol within which we have the container, and then container takes care of mixing the audio and video streams, so it kind of all travels together. And typically video will take the great majority of that bandwidth. So that's, again, this part is taken care of by an encoder, and it's a hardware or a software encoder, and this is something that we expect from the live stream customer. So whoever is doing the broadcast will deliver that stream to us, and from then on we take care of the rest. the user experience for live streaming looks something like this. So one important note is, this is very new functionality. So today we have rolled it out to YouTube partners. So those are the folks that have an audience on YouTube and have been kind of delivering quality content for some time. We have been looking into expanding access to this ability, and hopefully this is going to come in not too distant future. But today, if you look at live streams that are there on YouTube, typically whoever is live streaming is actually a YouTube content partner. And their experience is, we have a site, youtube.com-based user interface where they can schedule an event, supply some metadata about it, title, description, start time, select the stream qualities that they need, and then start broadcasting. So once the event is scheduled, it can be discovered by our audience, and it can be discovered on youtube.com/live. So that's the top arrow. Or if somebody's channel is enabled for live streaming, they'll see actually a little tab, live, and they can navigate there and see which events are actually coming up. So in this example, this week in is a YouTube partner. They actually had a live event going on when I took the screenshot, and it was an interview with a startup. So this week's in startup is kind of cool live stream that talks about entrepreneurs. So that's kind of the flow from a YouTube user perspective. So let's see if we can bring this thing up. Here. So what you see here, this is our live landing page, and we show several pieces of information. We show, what are the events that are live right now, and then or a selection of these events. What are the upcoming events, so the ones that are scheduled in the future. We also show recently broadcasted events. So these events are events that have already completed, but by default, live events are actually archived off to YouTube. And the nice thing about this is, if you're building an app which tries to help people catch up on events that they have missed, you can actually access the archival data through the API, and you can make it a connection between the live event and the video recording that corresponds to the live event. So I'll show you how the linkage works in a second. Yeah, so I click on one of these. Let's just pick the first one. Typically, it's a little faster. I think it's largely driven by how many smartphones are in the room. Okay, so they actually stopped the broadcast. Let's pick the next one. Okay, so what you see is the live stream here, and there's a little icon that indicates that it's live. And we have a chat window, so the audience can interact with whoever is producing the event in real time. So this is kind of the user experience on YouTube Live. And this is all cool, but what does this mean to you? And we're here to talk about the APIs. We do offer basically 3 types of APIs that are relevant to live streaming. Starting with event scheduling. So what I showed you earlier, the user interface that allows the partner to schedule the event, that is actually exposed through an API. Event discovery. So you can actually figure out what is currently live, what events have been archived and already passed, what's scheduled, And then we have a feed that mimics what we saw on the youtube.com live site. So for example, the featured events that for whatever reason are considered to be interesting, we actually expose these as well through the API so your app can consume it. And then on the playback side, for those of you that have used the YouTube Player API, it's the same player that we use for live streaming. And the API that the player exposes also works for live streaming with some small differences, which I will cover when we talk about this. So let's start with the easy part, which is the discovery API. How many of you have used Google Data APIs, like the JSON or Atom? OK, fair amount. So this should be very familiar. Basically, YouTube APIs are based on REST, much like most other APIs that Google exposes. And then, as I mentioned, we have a bunch of feeds that you can access. So for example, if I click on this one, featured events, what I get back is an XML document by default. It's Atom representation. And the document consists of a feed which has a bunch of entries. Each entry corresponds to an event that is scheduled. And then from the event itself, you can actually retrieve the video ID so that you could actually view the event. Or if you want to, if this is an archival video of a past event, you can actually play it as well. So going back to the feeds that we expose, featured is the ones that we think are interesting. Live now, probably needs no explanation. Upcoming are the ones that are scheduled in the future. So when you schedule an event, you can actually set the start date. And then recently broadcasted are the ones that have already passed, and that's where you typically will have a video corresponding to that event. That's something that is configurable but enabled by default. So by default, if a partner schedules an event, there will be a video archival of that event. Just looking at the live events feed, for those of you that haven't seen this before, the structure is feed entries. Each entry corresponds to an individual event. And here's an example of my live events feed that I use for testing. I have 5 entries scheduled. And then each entry looks something like this. There's an entry ID. And there's a video ID corresponding to that entry. Then this can be a one-to-many mapping. So the example that I alluded to earlier, where you have multiple camera angles. So say the same event could actually have multiple video IDs, and each video ID could correspond to a different camera angle. So that's why there's a mapping. We have a status also. So events are associated with a small state machine. When you schedule it, it's in pending, then active, completed. So right now the event is pending. It hasn't started yet, and I have a start date associated with it. So that's the discovery API in a feed format. We also have a scheduling API. So the way this one works, if you have used auth before, typically your app would obtain an auth permission from whoever has access to this platform, and then act on their behalf using the scheduling API, so that they could do all the event management through your application rather than having to go on youtube.com and use the GUI. And that's very interesting if you consider any kind of content management integration applications where somebody already has a system. They don't want to mess with youtube.com. They just want to integrate these two systems. That's when this is useful. So we expose the operations you would think we would expose. So adding event, starting, updating, deleting, and ending an event. So starting and ending basically triggers the state transitions of the event, so that the event can kind of go through its life cycle. And I'll give you an example of what it looks like right now. So to add an event, just a post into a URL corresponding to the live events feed, the mandatory information, title, summary, start date, and then we supply the authorization token. So in this case, I will be using auth2, bearer token, and developer key. So this is something that you can obtain from YouTube online. There's a click-through agreement to get the developer key, and then you can use it. Starting an event. In this case, to start an event, you can use HTTP patch request, which is kind of nice because you just specify what has changed, and that's the only thing you actually have to supply. So in this case, I'm actually changing the start date. So I specify that my GD fields is the one that I want to update, and the new value now. which would trigger the state transition on the event from pending to active. To end an event, similarly, patch request, and then YT when end equals now, meaning stop it right this minute. Updating, somewhat similar to the previous examples. Again, I can just use a patch request, specify the fields that need to change, and say, in this case, I actually want to change title summary and the start date, and you can do it all in one shot with the patch request. And finally, deleting, as you would expect, thanks to the simplicity of REST, is a single HTTP delete request. You just supply that against the event ID. Each event has an ID that I showed you earlier, and that's it. So pretty easy. A note about content archiving. As I mentioned before, by default, every event that we actually live stream is archived off, and the configuration that drives this is shown here. So YT archived can be actually set to false if, for whatever reason, the partner doesn't want this to be archived off as a YouTube video. They can override it. And then there's a bidirectional linkage between the events and the videos. And so if you look at the event entry or the video entry and then the content element inside of it, you will see the linkage. So the IDs will actually are linked so that you can navigate from one to the other. So that makes it easier for your app. Player API. So if you have worked with our JavaScript iframe player API, then this should be familiar. If you haven't worked with it, really the important part here is that you can instantiate the player, you can supply a video ID, and that video ID can be a live stream. So there's really nothing special about the video ID. We don't really make a distinction at the API level if something is a live stream or if something is a regular video on demand video. So in this example, I'm actually loading the video and subscribing to an event that will be fired when the player is ready. And my event handler actually starts the video as soon as the player initializes and is ready. One note is, some operations that do not make sense are not supported. So that's a very profound observation, I guess. So for example, seek to, like if you try to seek to the future, I'm sorry to tell you that you won't be able to do that. We're still working on that part. OK, so we have gone through the API overview. I showed you how the experience is on YouTube. So next, I wanted to show you a couple of examples, both stuff that we have built and things that our partners have put together for this session. So starting with a little application that we call Watch Me. And Watch Me is an Android app that integrates with our APIs. Let me see if I can bring this up. Okay, so the way it works, it's an Android application. I can launch it, pull the event list. So event created on the date is a test event that I have created. I can also create an event myself. So if I hit create, as you see, a new event got created, September 20th. If I look now in my YouTube channel, so let me see what are the upcoming events that are created, I can see that, a new event got created. So here, this is an API usage example. The client written in Java uses REST API to actually talk to the backend. The account that I'm using is my test account, and my account is enabled for YouTube live streaming. I created a new event, and I can now actually look it up on youtube.com and appears in my event list. So if I'm adventurous, I can actually hit start streaming. And there typically is a pretty significant delay as the content gets encoded, sent up to our servers, and then down to the clients. Let's see. OK, as you see that the player already knows this is a live stream. Yeah. And I'll describe in a second of how we actually have done this. I'm just going to leave it here for a while and see while we discuss the. Let's chat about the implementation, and hopefully this thing is going to catch up over Wi-Fi. OK. So how is this thing implemented? As I mentioned, we use HTTP and REST APIs to schedule events, retrieve the event list. The app actually uses XML to issue the write request and uses JSON encoding to fetch the data back from the server, because JSON parsing is pretty straightforward, so the complexity of the app is less, and the code is a little cleaner if you use JSON. And then for the encoding part, we use JNI and FFmpeg. So for those of you that have used FFmpeg, needs no explanation. For those of you that haven't, FFmpeg is a great tool if you need to, say, transcode video, and it supports a lot of different formats. And in this case, we're actually using its FLV capability and RTMP connectivity. So the stream that we obtained from the camera, it's encoded using FFmpeg. We use the YUV byte array, so this is a way to represent the uncompressed video, and 16-bit PCM, so passcode modulation byte array. That is actually sent through JNI to FFmpeg. FFmpeg does the encoding, wraps it in the FLV container, wraps it in RTMP stream, and sends it up to YouTube. So that's the kind of implementation. Let's see if, yeah, I guess our demo is taking a long time with my Wi-Fi connection here. OK. Let me talk about another thing that we have built. So, yeah, I think this is not going to work with my Wi-Fi. So another example is PyLive, which is an application that I wrote in Python. What that lets you do is perform the event management part entirely through a user interface that I have built, so that I don't have to go to youtube.com and deal with the GUIs. And let me show you what it looks like. Yeah, so if I go to my local server, so this is an App Engine application written in Python. I'm actually running it on my local developer server. It uses the YouTube API to retrieve events. And so I can traverse the event list. Or maybe not. Timeout. OK, let me check my Wi-Fi. OK, it's back. OK. I can create new events, so let me just create a test event. OK, so I created a new event, and as you noticed, the event transitions into pending state upon creation. So this is cool. I didn't have to use the youtube.com GUI. So what can I do with this now that I have created it? So typically, I have created the events, and I'm ready to broadcast. I would fire up my encoder. And I have a software application here called Wirecast that a partner of ours updated to actually support YouTube live streaming. So what you see in the middle is me. And the way it works is they actually have the ability through the API integration to fetch the events that are scheduled and do the encoding part and connect to our live streaming servers by using the API to discover what has been scheduled. And so let's try that. So you can go under broadcast settings, pick not this one, pick YouTube as the destination. Authenticate. Okay, so what you see is they pull down the event list. So I created the event using my Python app and then connected to YouTube API backend using the Wirecast application. So if I go to go ahead and select this event and hit save, they already know where to actually send the RTMP stream. So the event information contains the RTMP stream destination, and because they fetch that through the API, I don't have to type it. So if I go now to my event, let me hit broadcast. So what that will do is it'll actually start the encoding process. So right now, as I talk, the stream is being sent to YouTube. But if I go back to my event list, yeah, my event is in preview mode. Let me see if I can go ahead and start it. So again, I can use the API to transition the event state from pending to active using this patch requests. As I mentioned before, the patch YT fields when equals now will basically transition the event state. So if I hit start, the event state transitions to active. So if I go back to YouTube. Yeah, so as you see, Hello Argentina is now playing. And that's me. Yeah! Okay. Thank you, Wi-Fi gods. Okay, so let's look at one more application. Before we do that, just a quick recap of how PyLive is implemented. So I'm using App Engine, Python. For those of you that have used auth, auth can be quite painful to implement. Auth2 is easier. And then auth2 with auth2 client library is even easier. So that's what I used. Actually, there's a little decorator, auth2 decorator, auth required that I use in my code. And the nice thing about it is you can actually annotate your event handler, and that's pretty much it. The whole auth dance is taken care of by you. There's a little bit of code you have to write to trigger the refresh when the token expires, but even that is pretty minimal, and you're done. So I highly recommend if you have an interest in writing some Python App Engine applications and using auth, that library comes in very handy. And the operations supported, we went through that. I've been using direct REST calls using URL lib too, because the HTTP requests are actually very simple, so it's very easy just to assemble that rather than using some sort of a client library. So Telestream Wirecast is the software encoder that we use to successfully live stream my happy face to all of you. And then next demo that I wanted to show you is a little company called Squirrel that integrated our live streaming discovery APIs into their content discovery and sharing platform. So the problem that Squirrel is trying to solve is there's a lot of content out there, and there's a lot of video content. So how do you build a nice user experience around all this content? So they pull in YouTube content, but they also support other video sources. And if I go to Squirrel YouTube Live, what you see is, this is my Squirrel channel. So this is a bunch of video sources that I have subscribed to. And they integrated the live stream feeds that I explained to you earlier in this presentation. So if I look at featured live playlists, these should be familiar to you. So this is kind of one-to-one mapping. Upcoming one events, recently broadcast, happening now, featured live events. So if I click on recently broadcast, they fetch the event using the API. They know the state, and notice that they show this event has already completed. And then if I want to watch it, I can actually add it into my queue, and then I can also share my queue with others. So this is where their application is nice, is where you can actually be a curator. So you find interesting content, and you can make your playlist public, and other people can subscribe to them. And the other people can also be notified when there's something new in your playlist. So you can actually manage playlists for others. And they've done a really nice job with that. They also have visual cues. So when something is new, and like in this case, between last time when I look at this page and now, there was a new event that was added, and hence this indicator here. And if I click on YouTube logo, so the way they represented the live streaming is basically by using a curator. So here's where they catalog all the content from YouTube. So if I go back and look at things that is upcoming, okay. Cool. There's a beach party that is going to be live streamed from Ibiza. So I definitely want to see that. So I can basically say Squirrel it, and I can put it in my live collection, new playlist. Squirreled. So there. So if I go back to my channel, check out my live collection. Under parties, I have saved the live event. So they will actually notify me when the event is passed. They will keep track of the linkage between the archived video if I missed the live party because I happen to live in the time zone that I'll be at work during this party, so it'll be kind of weird to watch it. So that's pretty much what they have done with the APIs. So a couple of other notes. There's some interesting events coming up on YouTube. Faro Latino it's a YouTube partner here in Argentina, and I know they're going to be adding interesting live events, music events. So they're a good partner of ours. We'll be live streaming Rock in Rio from Brazil, and you should be able to actually watch it in Argentina, but not in Brazil. Because I think there it's a TV station that owns the rights, but in other countries people will be able to actually enjoy it. So I plan on watching that when I get back home. Another thing that it's kind of interesting, and it kind of shows you how the direction in which things are going is America's Cup. They've been quite innovative in integrating video feeds from multiple sailing boats. So if you're into sailing, this should be kind of interesting to watch. Let me show you a promo that they have done that highlights some of the user interface functionality that they will be offering. And actually last week they were live streaming this already using some of the features that they talk about in the video. All right, so that gives you an idea of what's possible. I think this is going to be very exciting. But now, why is this important? What does it mean to you? So YouTube has over 20,000 content partners online, worldwide, and we are enabling more and more of them for this functionality. So the types of applications they will be looking for is things such as encoding, software, event management, content management integration, and then we have a lot of video views every day, so over 3 billion views per day. There's a lot of interesting content curation applications. So Squirrel was just one example that I gave you. So the content that we have is just humongous. So discovering the interesting part is really very hard for users still, and that's really a challenge, but also an opportunity. Where I think I've seen a lot of very innovative applications, and I'm continue to be amazed of what developers are able to come up with. And there's probably other stuff that that you should be able to do with this for fun, or for your day job. And I'll be very interested to hear from you if you have interesting ideas about this functionality. So here's links to the resources. We have a blog, Twitter, forum, and so forth. I will make this available online so you can click through and get these links. And we have a couple of minutes left, so maybe I can take a question or two. Any questions here in the back? You could have multiple embeds on the same page, each embed showing the live stream. So the question was, can you have multiple live streams on the same page? And the answer is, yeah. I mean, you can have multiple embeds, and each embed would be showing a different live stream. Because this is just like embedding multiple YouTube videos on the same page. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, so the question is, are there going to be any charges for live streaming? So this is a functionality today available to YouTube partners, and when their account is enabled for it, we don't charge for that. I'm not aware of any plans to actually charge for that. I mean, YouTube is primarily an advertising-based business. Another question? Yeah. Yeah. So I use 2.5. So I use the version that is available on App Engine. No, I didn't use Web2Py. Yeah. Another question?
This is only available for partners. So how can we?
Yeah. So the ability to live stream is available to partners. The APIs for content consumption discovery, that is open. Any developer can use it today. We haven't been advertising it a lot. In fact, as I mentioned, this is only the second time that I'm talking about this at a Google event. And then if you are working on an application for partners, you obviously need to test. So if you are working on such an app, then reach out to us, and we'll make sure that you can have an environment where you could test your application.
And do you have this will have a limit storage for recorder streaming, or?
So right now on YouTube, we have been going in the opposite direction. We've been kind of removing the restrictions for storage. So we started with like video can only be 10 minutes. Then we said, oh, how about 15 minutes? And then recently we went, and asked, how about unlimited video? So I think that the direction is actually to remove some of these restrictions. The question was whether there's a limited storage for YouTube. So I think for accounts that are enabled, we have this new feature called unlimited uploads, and you can pretty much upload as long video as you want. The underlying limit there is like how large the file can be, and it's actually quite large. It's like multi-gigabyte. Yeah. All right. So I think we are out of time. So I will hang around here. Probably outside so that the next group can come in, and then I'll be around. So please grab me, and if you don't see me, ping me on Google Plus or Twitter. I'll be very happy to talk to you. Thank you.